Working 9 to 5 destroys friendships. Yes, I said it. Working 9 to 5 destroys friendships, but not in the traditional sense of like, oh, we had a massive falling out and we had this horrible friendship breakup and we hate each other. No. It's actually something far, far more depressing than that. It's like a slow death of friendship. And as the video goes on, I'll explain more and more about this. But the first thing I want to talk about, just to get this out of the way, is just the pure amount of time work takes out. Well, that's an obvious, you might say, yes, but this needs to be addressed. Even if you love your job, because I know personally people who are like doctors and stuff, and they work long hours, and even if they like it, they still find it hard and quite, it can be quite challenging, to be honest. So even if you love your job, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't love their jobs, but even if you do love your job, we have to say it takes a lot of time out of your life. And then as a result of that, your friends, it takes a lot of time out of their life as well. So now we've got that out of the way, even if you like your life, it's still hard to see your friends due to time. But you might think to yourself, well, actually, you know what? I still have my weekends or whatever things you have. The problem is it's not that simple. People take their jobs with them. You might have friends and you want to hang out with them. You say, let's hang out this weekend. Oh, no, I can't do it. Or, next weekend. Oh, no, I can't do it. That's fine. And then in a month's time, magically, you're all free at the same time to hang out. So you think, okay, this is going to be good. It's finally a reunion with my old university friends or whatever. And then so you get really excited, you go and see your friends, expecting a nice reunion just to see your old friends again, and you're met with absolute horror. I walk in there, I was like, hey, good to see you again. And I was friends with really funny people, so very outgoing, funny, silly people, to be honest. And you see them and they're like, hey, and they're like, oh, hi, good to see you again. And you're like, it's like, what happened here? You start talking to them, like everyone's just tired and they're talking about their jobs and they're complaining about work and, sort of like what I do. But the thing is, complain about work and they're talking about stuff and you say to them like, hey, what about that? Remember how we were all going to go scuba diving overseas? Why don't we look at doing that next year or something? And they go, oh yeah, it's a bit too difficult. Oh, my boss won't give me time off and I've had a lot of work drama. And they just have, I'm not judging these people, by the way, because I get crappy about work. I get it. I'm not actually having a go at anyone. I'm saying it's depressing because working full time puts pressure on friendships and destroys them over time in a really slow, painful way, I knew this guy, and this is a high school friend, because I've had a lot of different people I'm going to talk about. I had this high school friend, and I thought about how to try and explain this in the video, but he had this really unique sense of humor. Like he'd throw out these one-liners, he'd say something would happen, he'd say something funny, and it used to crack me up, like a hilarious person. And so I coincidentally ran into this guy once, just out of the blue ran into this guy. So I was expecting this, hey, and I was really excited, I was like, good to see you again. I was expecting him to be funny, and as he normally does. And literally, I'm not exaggerating, this is what happened. He's like, oh, hi, fancy seeing you here. And I was like, what? I was talking, I was like, I said to him, you're all right? You seem a bit tired or something. He goes, oh, no, really, I'm just, got a new job. And I was like, what? I actually thought something was wrong. I was like, are you okay? And I just realized over time talking to this guy that he's not the same person anymore. And now someone watching this is probably going to say, oh, that's it, because he matured, he grew up, and he is, he's no longer fun because he's serious as an adult or whatever. No, that is not true. And I can prove it to you. I had a friend who worked exceptionally long hours. It was some sort of government IT security thing for the government. I'm not actually sure what it was because it was a top secret thing, but he worked really long hours after university. So I just couldn't hang out with him. He had no time to hang out with me. And when I did hang with him, he was tired. But, fortune would have it, he managed to, in between jobs, he took an extended time off. So he had 4 or 5 months off work. So guess what happened? He wanted to hang out with me and we had the time of our lives. He went traveling and he did all these things and his old personality was back. So all these work zombies that I talk about, if they have time off work, they go back to their old selves. Speaking of work zombie, there's a guy in these videos that I often refer to as the work zombie friend. Well, he actually once visited me, and when he visited me, he had some time off work and he went back to his old funny self. The old funny guy that I used to hang out with was back. So it's not that he's growing up and getting older, it's the fact that the work really takes a toll on people. And speaking of getting older, when I was 20, about in my 20s at some point, I used to be friends with a couple of older guys. One of them was my professor. So I used to hang out with my professor, really interesting person, by the way. And I had this other friend. I have all these interesting older friends, and some of them had money, and just interesting people I met that I was friends with that were older than me. And I used to think to myself, there's about 3 different people I'm thinking of right now. And they used to always hang out in our group of younger people. I used to think to myself, like, why? I'm just, not judgmentally, because I don't really care how old people are. Friends are friends. But I thought, like, why doesn't he hang out with his 50-year-old? Like, why does he want to hang out with us? And then it actually dawned on me as I got older, as I got to my 30s, I was like, oh, it makes sense. As you get older, people get stuck in their job, their career, they have marriage and children, all these things. Look, if that's what you want to do, fine. I'm not judging anyone. But people then don't want to hang out and do, and that's just, it is what it is. But I find it to be very depressing, personally. That is my personal opinion. I find it so depressing. So as these people get older, they want to still do all the fun stuff they want to do, but no longer they have friends to do it with. Because as you get older, people just don't want to do things with you anymore. It's just a fact of getting older, I guess. Because let's just say, hypothetically, I had a trust fund and I never had to work a job and I could just do whatever I wanted. My friends would still have to go to work. So it's like, even if, this is why people struggle to make friends. Like, here's the thing. You might notice as you get older, it's harder to make friends. You might be lonely, all these reasons, because it's actually quite hard to make friends as you get older. And I'm not even talking about dating. Dating and marriage, that's a whole other topic, which I would love to make a video about. That's a whole other thing. We'll make the video go on for too long. But just making friends is hard because everyone's got their life and they just don't have time. And even if you do go out, you get tired. It's hard, It's really, really depressing. And I haven't even touched on the whole hierarchy thing, which I will touch on now. When you work a job, what I find is, even outside of your jobs, you have a hierarchy at work where the boss is something and they think they're really good and you have to deal with it. But then you see friends from university and they're a lawyer now. And because I'm a lawyer, I don't want to hang out with you because you're not as good as me. And you get this sort of hierarchy thing where friendships, people don't want to hang out. I've seen this a lot. You have no idea how many times I've seen this. People don't want to know because they're a lawyer now and that you're not useful to them and they only want to hang out with high flying people. And by the way, rich people, they hate it. Okay, so if you're a really rich person, and you see someone doing that, they hate that, by the way. So, but these lawyer types people, they would suck up to really rich people, and rich people can tell they're sucking up to them. But they would ignore someone who's failed a startup, for example, if that makes sense. So people, they judge you. So if you have a group of friends, there might be, say, five guys as an example, and one of them thinks they're too good for you, they won't hang out with you. I've seen this personally in my life. People just don't want to hang out with you anymore because, I'm a very successful lawyer, and it's just the hierarchy thing. It's so depressing, and making friends at work isn't even really when you're forced to be there and you've got to deal with the boss. It puts pressure on you. And people, I found some of my friends, they actually sort of, there was one person who he was taking out his work problems on me, and I told him, no, stop this right now. I'm not going to deal with it because I won't take that from people. But he was starting to go on to me about his work problems and harassing me about it. And what I'm trying to say is it didn't destroy the friend. How do I say it? I'm on okay terms with this guy, but I don't speak to him anymore, to be honest. It destroyed a 20-year friendship. He was getting bullied at work. He just became all aggressive, and it's so depressing. This is the working world for you, and this is not even mentioning the fact that a lot of people hate working to begin with. Working is such a depressing thing just to begin with. Just the fact you have to be there is depressing. Just getting through the day isn't a problem. But I'm not even focusing on the work. I'm focusing on just the fact that outside of work, working full-time destroys friendships. I've seen this time and time again. Oh, and it's the most depressing thing. And I've even known people who become almost alcoholics because the working world just depresses them so much, and I actually know one guy, I've spoken about this many times, but he was 25. It just got too much for him. This whole thing just became too much for him. He couldn't do it anymore. And I find it was really upsetting, to be honest. It physically destroyed that friendship. I mean, I still have the memories of it, but it literally took a toll on my friend. Working full-time destroys friendships. Now, if you're a person who, I've had a couple of friends who manage to, stay active and stay doing whatever, and I'm not trying to judge anyone. Everyone has a different way they cope with this situation. But I find that as you get older and you have a full-time job, it just puts so much pressure on having friendships. It becomes way harder, and people can't, I had a lot of friends that were 2 hours away from me, and they'd drive in to hang out, and they can't drive anymore. It's just they don't have the time, and it's hard for me to get there, and things become harder as you get older. And I don't see many people talking about how working full time actually destroys friendships, because there's this sort of myth in society where if you don't like working, okay, fine, but you at least get 2 days off a week. But I take it one step further. It's a psychological prison, and it puts pressure on your friendships. And I've seen this personally in my life, and I find it very, very depressing. And that's one of the reasons why I'm super motivated to make money and do all my business things, because I want to sort of, break free of that, because I really don't like the idea of just shrinking down. But before I go, I want to emphasize, I'm really not judging anyone, because I get tired. I do this stuff too. I get, tired, and so I get it. But it just depresses me, to be honest. But if this resonated with you, please let me know, particularly if you've had friendships over work change. Please tell me those stories, because I actually learn a lot from the comments. Believe it or not, it's actually quite hard to reply to them, all of them, but I learn a lot and I really appreciate the feedback. So if you've ever had like a friendship end because of work, actually, I'd really like to know that personally. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.